I'm Terry David Mulligan, and this is Mulligan Stew, the podcast. Music, film, food, and wine. Music this week, Leeroy Stagger, amazing singer-songwriter. He was on the road with his band on Vancouver Island. He walked into the front door of the house and handed me 2 albums, still in factory wrappings. The first one was called Me and the Mountain. It's the one that's out now, and the one we'll be talking about. The second one is called Strange Path, and it will be out Friday, September 13th, 2019. I can't remember an artist of any stripe handing me or having their representative handing me 2 albums for 1 year. It proves my point that Leeroy Stagger is a very different artist. Even though he's in Lethbridge, he's a Victoria-born guy, and he was feeling pretty comfortable on Vancouver Island. And just for your information, he does a fabulous weekly radio show on CKUA called Dirty Windshield, in which he gets inside songs and songwriters and singers and tells the story from the inside out. Most of the songs that you'll hear on Me and the Mountain were conceived in Banff, and he surrounded himself in the studio with amazing players. Steve Dawson, Steve Mariner, Jeffrey Hicks, also Pete Thomas from The Attractions, Paul Wright from Nico Case, Michael Ayotte on keys, and Rylan Morenz on strings. The tracks we're going to play for you are Caught in the Middle, and the vocal harmonies belong to Kim Ritchie, Fire and Fury, Broken Generation, with the line, Guns and Religion are tearing us apart. Open Up Your Heart, surely is going to be a single. Just a heads up that Leeroy and the road band will be in Calgary at the Ironwood on June the 9th, Sunday, June the 9th. And next Saturday, June the 15th, he'll be one of the featured performers at Highlandia Festival in Edmonton. Leeroy Stagger. We have found ourselves in the gazebo studio. It's down by the water. As a matter of fact, you're going to hear a couple of things. You're going to hear some waves, and you're going to hear some sea lions who are upwind. We'll be able to hear them. Leeroy Stagger has joined me here at the house and has brought with him 2 CDs. The second one I wasn't prepared for. The first one, we're going to talk about Me and the Mountain. The second one, it's called Strange Path. How many other artists that you know of? Name me the last artist that you knew of who came into the year with 2 albums ready to go.
I guess it was probably more of a thing in the 70s because everybody was popping out a couple records a year back then, right?
Full circle here. You were born and raised on Vancouver Island?
Yeah, this is home to me. Born in Victoria, raised up island, Cowichan Valley, Cowichan Bay, Duncan, Shawnigan Lake, Mill Bay. And then ended up back in Lethbridge probably about 12 years ago. When
you left here, were you a troublemaker? Were you going to be in trouble? Did music save your soul?
No, music almost ground me to a pulp. But I've always been in trouble, you know. But I moved to Alberta to save some money, and that's a mortgage and a studio and 2 kids later, you know. But yeah, I mean, coming to the island is like coming home to me. All my family's still here.
Some people can't live on an island.
I could. I mean, we'll probably end up back here. We'll probably end up back here in the next few years.
Half of Alberta's here now.
God, the show last night, I mean, it was a sold-out show, but everybody I met was from Alberta, it seemed like. So, you know.
It's showing up at when we do spring and fall fundraisers.
Yeah.
They're showing up.
There's a big CKUA contingent here.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people that sponsor my show are from the island. The people we stayed with last night in Parksville from Calgary live here now, and great. And they love to take care of us, which is so beautiful.
How was the show?
It's fantastic. Yeah, best of the tour on a Monday night. Couldn't believe last time I played Parksville, I think we played to about 4 people at the Rod and Gun, and it was packed, sold out. Great show. What
I've noticed, Leeroy, is that many artists who would play Vancouver, maybe they'd play play Victoria or Duncan, and then they'd head back east. all of a sudden they're playing up the spine of the island.
I think it's maybe a commerce thing, just to get over to the island. Now, you have to make it work. But for me, it's usually like, well, how many days can I stay on the island and be working?
Me and the Mountain. The question really is, 2 albums. Did you go on a writing spree and decided that you had enough for 2?
Well, that's funny. I'd kind of written Strange Path, and I sent it to True North. I sent it to Jeff Kulick, and he wrote me back and said, "No, you need to write another. You need to keep writing." And I thought, well, this guy's crazy, but okay.
Was that a good comment?
No, he kind of didn't like the songs. Bless his heart. But I think what happened was it forced me to go and write, and I did. I wrote, and I had written 20 or 30 songs already for Strange Path, and I kind of had found this idea in it. But it forced me to go to the drawing board again, and I went to the Banff Center for 3 weeks, and I wrote a lot of the songs on Me and the Mountain. And so then the dust settled out of that, and I had about 40 songs done. And I was looking through them all. We'd been demoing songs for a year. We'd worked on a song like Broken Generation. We've cut about 8 different versions of it. Searchlight, I think, is about 4 or 5.
Drastically different one from the other?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We went everywhere. We went, we went kind of experimental U2-ish. We went folky. We cut some tracks in the Hudson Valley in New York with some of those guys, and we just couldn't get what we wanted, and so we've been working on this, and I was kind of just getting a little bit down, but Jeff inadvertently had kind of rejected these songs, which was the best case scenario, because what it did was it forced me to write more, which I think is always good, and I don't think I'll ever not do that again. I think I'll always have more songs than I need for a record, because then you can really, really, really take the cream of the crop. And so anyway, we'd done some more writing, and I knew there was something in those Strange Path songs. They were quite different for me. We kind of had gone down this path of Michael Fronte and Spearhead and Joe Strummer and the Mescaleros, like a little bit more of this like world thing, this kind of like this essence of Clash's Sandinista with like a little more dancey, a little bit more experimental, but then we seemed to be able to hone it in a little bit and kind of still make it my sound. So we booked a session with Pete Thomas, came up from L.A., and Paul Rigby, and it just from Vancouver, and then Brad Barr came on from the Barr Brothers, who had wanted to produce the record the whole time, and it just happened to work.
That's a lot of good juice in one studio.
Amazing. Brad, I didn't know personally, and we'd kind of had a bit of an incident in Cologne. I was in Cologne, and they were supposed to put me on the guest list for a show, and of course I show up for the door, no name at the door, and I was just like, okay, this guy's too big for, too cool for school for me. So I kind of had written him off, and then serendipitously we had kind of reconnected via email. We were both doing the Calgary Folk Fest at the same time, and so we booked it without even meeting each other. He liked the songs that I'd sent him, the demos, and we're sitting in the van about to head back down to the studio, and I didn't know this guy, right? So I said, and I'd been on a really big Grateful Dead kick that year, and I'm sitting in the van, we're both looking straight ahead, just parked in front of the hotel, and I said, there's kind of a litmus test for me for this record, and I said, do you like the Grateful Dead? And I was expecting, most response, but he said, well, considering I've seen them about 18 times, he's like, yeah, and I just knew it. I'm like, okay, this record, this will be great. And it turned, he's probably one of the most musical people I've been in the studio with.
I belong to a broken generation, obsessed with money, doing dirty things. We can't get past are bleeding, but we can't get along. We know it kills us, but we can't ever quit it. And the fools we are as men, still singing the same old song. Bury my bones near the Cuyahoga River. Scatter my ashes where this hatred don't belong. Learn from our past, for this history has a way, and this broken generation is dead and gone. I belong to this broken generation. Guns and religion are tearing us apart. The rich man, he thrives, while the poor man just stayed down. And it will always be that way on the poor kid's side of town. Bury my bones near the Cuyahoga River. Scatter my ashes where this hatred don't belong. Listen to our past, for this history has a way, and this broken generation is dead and gone. Damn this generation, the horse that we rode in on. Damn this fake news, and damn these dirty wars. I'm looking for some peace and a bit of understanding till this broken generation ain't broken anymore. Bury my bones near the Cuyahoga River. Scatter my ashes where this hatred don't belong. Learn from our past, for this history has a way, and this broken generation is dead and gone. And this broken generation is dead and gone.
Leeroy Stagger, we're talking about Me and the Mountain. Actually, there's a question here bouncing around my brain, and that is, how important was it that you got to Banff, that you isolated yourself to write?
Yeah. It was very important. I talk about it a lot on this tour, because not only did it, it has everything to do with Me and the Mountain, but it also has a lot to do with Strange Path. There was this isolation that happened in these 3 weeks that really, it was a lot of mind games. I'd never sat for that amount of time and worked on writing ever. I'd never done that, and I've been writing songs for almost 20 years. I was having personal problems at home. My marriage was on the rocks, and so here I am, taking off for 3 weeks to be up in the mountains in this beautiful hotel and this artistic retreat. And my wife, bless her soul, she's very, very understanding, but she's also having to deal with 2 little boys at home. I'm missing them dearly, but I saw this this path that I said, I need to get through these 3 weeks. I need to follow where these songs are coming from. So the Me and the Mountain, a lot of the material on it is very, very personal, and it's a lot of me working through those feelings of going through marital issues, going through, having the label come back and say, these songs are no good, write them again. The ironic thing, which I didn't mention, was that most of the songs that I originally sent to Jeff are on Strange Path, and he loves them.
Oh, there you go.
He loves them. And he on the phone, I remember he's like, this is amazing. And I'm sitting there in my head, I'm like, well, but yeah, it's great. And it was, I'm really glad he pushed me. And I think it's really important to see that through if we're going to make quality records these days.
Here's what jumped out at me. You didn't ask him, I won't tell you anyway. Caught in the Middle with Kim Ritchie doing the vocals. Yeah. Fire and Fury, great bout. Searchlight, Broken Generations. Is it Guns and Something Are Tearing Us Apart?
Guns and Religion.
Okay, no, because I can't read my own writing. Guns and Religion Are Tearing Us Apart. Was that line always in there?
Yeah, I think that line was always in there. There was actually some harsher words at one point, but I think for me nowadays, I kind of will hunt out cynicism in my songs and start to pull stuff back because there's enough cynicism in the world these days. I think there's a healthy amount, that needs to be in art, but also at the same time, I think that we need to find the light in there as well.
Where did Open Up Your Heart come from?
Lots of therapy and and meditation, and seeing the common thread between my experience healing from trauma and finding this path of spirituality. For me, it was like this common thread was this idea of learning to live with an open heart. All right.
Shining in. Open up your heart
Mercy.
Marital issues. Marital issues. And just kind of...
Are you begging mercy?
Yeah, I'm begging for mercy for whatever spiritual energy or power to give us some direction.
Steve Mariner on harp?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Here's the deal. What kind of a gig, what kind of a job do people have where they can explore everything inside of them, find the turmoil, and then turn it into song?
Yeah. This gig, I don't know. I think for so long, and I know you've been following my records for a long time, and you've been very complimentary to them. But I found that I think it was just on the cusp of the record that I made called "Dream It All Away," where I discovered that is the key thing that will make me able to do this for a living. That will bring people to my music. For so long, it was just me barking. You know what I mean? And some people liked it, and I had some great things. But as soon as I cracked open that shell and started really pulling those guts out into the art, is when people all of a sudden started really coming to the party.
It became a dialogue.
Yeah,
between you and them.
Exactly. Instead of me just barking. And Coburn, I remember Coburn saying this in his book. For so long, he felt like it was him versus the audience. And for whatever reason, I was the same way. I mean, maybe it was just growing up with being in punk bands and doing that. But as soon as I realized that these people they want to come to the party. They want to know, they want to be, it's that Joe Strummer mentality is like, hey, there's no difference between me and you, so let's find the common language, let's find the common stories. And as soon as I figured that out, and as soon as I just followed that path, was when everything started to change.
Did I ever tell you my Joe Strummer, my Christmas story?
Yes, I love that story.
That's when my entire thinking about musicians and music and touring and what I was playing changed.
Yeah.
When I realized that I had self-imposed my thought of him on his music, as opposed to just letting it come over me.
Right. And what was the original ideology of what you thought it was going to be?
Well, I thought he was going to be the hard-ass, punky, barking guy, and he wasn't anything like that.
So he was. It was after Clash, post-Clash, and he'd probably been knocked down a few rungs, right? Yeah. So he found this idea of ego is essentially. I mean, he was never super egotistical. It seemed like maybe a little bit, but yeah, I mean that's just it. When you realize when things humble you and then there's nothing left but the art, that's when things start to get real good.
Is it possible that Dirty Windshield doing radio and playing music has kind of shaped some of what you're doing now?
In which way?
Well, I don't know, just you're listening to maybe even more music than you normally would. You're looking for tunes and tracks to play, and you're sitting and thinking about it. Any of that?
I hadn't thought about that, but I think so. Yeah, absolutely. My wife Kobe brings a lot of the new music that I listen to the show. So subconsciously, absolutely. And I think, it's not.
Does she take rejection well?
We figured that out a little bit. Yeah, we figured that out a little bit. How to navigate that dialogue. Yeah, I don't play her a lot of my new music, but no, she has been so good to kind of get out of my habits a little bit with the show. The biggest thing that has happened is that just so many people have come to my music and my shows because of the radio show. I wasn't expecting that.
Gotta watch where you're stepping. Everywhere it's bad news. People in a hurry, devouring their food. Fire and fury, humans in a bad mood. up them coins for a break from the cold. There were women everywhere, they all looked like my wife. I was feeling solitaire, needed a break from this life. That was the night all the lights went black. Just keep me in that devil from off of my back. And this song is my savior, this world is my sin. I don't wanna go it alone. No, I don't wanna go it alone. Still I go it alone. Yes, I go it alone. Rats in the underground, vermin in the tube. You gotta watch where you're stepping, everywhere it's bad news.
Me and the Mountain is out when?
Yeah, it's out now.
I'm out now.
Yeah.
Strange Path will come out in September.
Yeah, Friday, September 13th.
Are you dying to get to playing those tunes?
Yeah. I didn't realize how significant they were to me until I realized that we were only booking 18 shows for the Me and the Mountain tour, and I didn't decide to book overseas with that tour or anything like that, because my head and my heart is heading towards Strange Path pretty heavily.
Wow.
Yeah.
This tour is booked as there's a phrase that was used. Comfortable? No, what was it? The casual. This tour that you're like, for example, the rooms that you're playing.
Yeah.
I love the rooms that you're playing.
Yeah, well, they're very intimate, which we've kind of been doing for the last year. The last year we did the Campfire Diaries tour, which was just stories and acoustically driven music, full band, but all acoustic instruments. This tour we added almost an electronica element to it. It's kind of like bluegrass Radiohead. You know what I mean?
Is it?
Yeah, and
I don't understand what you're saying.
I know. So it's all acoustic instruments, but we've got Michael on this like UFO over in the corner. So he's got a mini Korg, a micro Korg. He's got a what are those 80s synthesizers with the buttons?
Ask him. Where is he?
Michael, what's that thing you play? Yeah, the Omnichord. So he's got an Omnichord, and then he's got a drum pad with some pre-programmed loops, and then he's got a snare drum and percussion. But it's really cool. So we can go between these like really beautiful, lush, kind of almost Sigur Rós delay things, and I've got stuff going on a vocal pedal, which I've never done before. And then it can go from like really crazy acoustic stuff. It's all upright bass, but then there's bowed bass and bowed banjo, and it's really wild. It's been pretty refreshing to me.
And how different does Strange Path sound?
Really different.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of
so one step at a time. You're going to concentrate on this album.
Yeah, I'm putting it all out there on this tour with the Me and the Mountain stuff, and it's been beautiful. It's been there's a real connection. I like the small rooms. I mean, I don't know. I've never really done a big room tour, to be honest. I've always supported other artists. In the fall, we are doing bigger rooms for the first time.
Okay. I may have to kind of question the thinking at True North, because there's no guarantee that this Me and the Mountain is going to go away by September.
No, it's true. And that's the thing that's kind of surprised me about that record. I've been getting messages daily from fans saying, it's strong. This song is beautiful, or it's touching people in a way that I didn't really expect it to. But I've been doing this a long enough time that I don't really have any expectations anymore.
Here's what I want to know: how many shows have you pre-recorded in order to do this tour?
I've done it on the fly. I did a show in Spokane the other day, and I was just telling you earlier, I said I think our new vehicle is quiet enough that I could probably do the show in the back of the van.
Very cool.
I know.
Radio on the fly.
Exactly. I love it. 'Cause you know what I love about doing the show on the road is that you're constantly going into new scenes and hearing about new bands. Yeah. And we were in Seattle the other night, and it's that's a music city.
Yeah.
So you've got people coming to the show that have been in this band, and they're telling you about this band, and you're checking stuff out. So I love to be able to kind of inject that into the show.
We're going to be in Seattle this weekend, basically with Charles Smith and his rosé gathering, 30 or 40 rosés.
Yeah.
But the house band at Jet City, his place in Seattle, is Reverend Horton Heat.
Well, I mean,
That's
how do
what
you
it's
top that?
Come on.
Yeah, how do you top that?
I didn't even talk about Great Unraveling.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the hit single?
I don't know. I don't
they
even
see?
know. I think me personally, my favorite is Caught in the Middle. But Great Unraveling, I was sitting in my cabin late at night, and I had this idea. Do you know the author David Corton? He lives on the Orcas Islands.
I'm sorry, I don't.
He's got this idea of the Great Turning is what this idea is. And what the concept is if we continue on this path of empire that humanity is going down now, we're going to turn into the Great Unraveling, where society essentially unravels. Or we can take the other path to the Great Turning, where so we can kind of come into this more community-minded ideology. So I had this concept record. Both this thing was going to be a double record at one point. But so I'd written The Great Turning, and it was this cool psychedelic kind of Grateful Dead thing. And in walks Chris Ludica late at night, old man Ludica, and he knocks on my door, and I said, "This is great. You can help me write The Great Unraveling." I'm like, "It's a serious concept, It's like it's a heavy thing." So we're starting down this path of writing this, beautiful tearjerker ballad or whatever about the unraveling of society. And halfway through it, he just stops and he goes, "Can we just write about a family living in a bunker, a prepper song?" And I said, "Okay, let's do it." So that is definitely the most closest thing to a humorous song that I'll ever write, I'm sure. But
humor.
Of course, Chris Old Man Ludica has something to do with it. Yeah.
All right, I know that you've got gigs go, and the band is sleeping on the beach now. We're going to do a group shot so we can actually have a memento of this thing. And we're sitting in the gazebo down by the water, Nanoose Bay. Yeah. Any Alberta dates?
Yeah, we're at the Ironwood on the 9th of June, which is a Sunday. And then the 15th, we're at the Highlandia Festival in Edmonton.
All right, travel well. Thank you, boys. Thank you, band.
Thanks, man. Good to see you.
Thank you. Leeroy Stagger. The album is Me and the Mountain. We are going to meet again, Leeroy and I, before September 13th to talk about Strange Path.
I'm caught in the middle of what I want, what I think I should be. It's a twisted train, but the path is never wrong. And the ocean's pull is strong to guide me home. Sometimes it hurts, you can't go wrong. And the easiest thing to do is play along. I'm lost in life, I'm a window throughout time, still I get through. Stars provide the lights to guide the way. Sometimes it hurts, and you can't go on. And the easiest thing to do is play along. I might feel broken and lost inside my skin. All the people I have been let me down, let me down. I'm caught in the middle of what I want, what I think I should be.
We hope you enjoyed that conversation with Leeroy Stagger, which took place just outside the studio in the New Bay. The tracks we played for you from Me and the Mountain were Broken Generation. Wow, love that. Open Up Your Heart. Wow, love that. Fire and Fury. Ditto. And my favorite of all, Caught in the Middle. The album is Me and the Mountain on True North Records. And the companion album that's coming Friday, September the 13th, is called Strange Path. And if it's better than this album, this is going to be a great year for Leeroy Stagger. Next week on Mulligan Stew Podcast, Kebmo brings his new music. It's called Oklahoma, and I can't wait to tell you all about it. And down the road in a couple of weeks, a conversation with the Sheepdogs. Thank you for subscribing to Spotify, Google Play, or Apple Podcasts. We appreciate it.